Hey folks, this is Denny over at TheraThink. Today we're going to walk through CPT code 90847 and 90846 for couples and family therapy. These codes are used by licensed marriage and family therapists primarily. However, they can be used by other clinicians based on license level. I'm going to recommend a few different things for to-dos before using these codes, and a few caveats when using these codes as well. If you're interested in not having to deal with any of this, you can reach out to us at therathink.com. You can click on our mental health insurance billing service header here, or you can go to therathink.com/billing service to get some help. But if you're a sadist, no. If you need to understand a bit more about these codes, certainly you can feel free to check out our website. We have written guides as well as the videos here to help the best that we can. All right, let's dig in. So, most typically, therapists um, are using and counselors are using 90847 for the couples and family therapy with the patient present. It's a bit odd because in a couples scenario, both clients in many real ways are the primary patients. But when coding for insurance billing, the clinician needs to choose the primary client or patient specifically to submit their claims over to their insurance plan. Insurance is actually fairly agnostic about the other person in the room, be it a parent, a spouse, a partner, uh, etc. They are not really concerned about the insurance coverage of that person at all, frankly. More importantly, they are concerned about the primary who's being quote unquote seen. And this will come up and be important when we talk about 90846 in a moment. But it's worth noting that if you are a clinician, you can speak to the couple about who they would prefer to have the claims be billed under. So worth noting that you do have power there to code and bill for these claims to the insurance coverage that is preferable for the family or couple in question. Now, it's worth noting that when you're using 90846 for family or couples therapy without the patient present, the patient in that case is the person who is primary on that insurance submission, that claim that is being submitted. So if it's John and Sue, and we're using Sue's insurance coverage, you're only going to use 90846 when you're conducting a couples therapy without Sue in the room, without Sue being there. It will be a session with, did I say John in this case, and not with Sue. Likewise, if you were working with let's say a child of a parent, and you conduct individual therapy for that person, that client in question. You're conducting an intake session and then ongoing individual therapy, but then you decide to bring a parent or a guardian into therapy to get a better clinical context about the client in question. You're going to want to use 90846. You're not conducting individual therapy with that partner, parent, spouse, guardian about them. You are conducting it about the client who is not present in that session. So hopefully that's fairly straightforward, and that is really the most important part of understanding when to use each of these different codes. So when in doubt, feel free to reach out to a billing service to get help with coding. But I hope that that has helped at least explain the core fundamental difference between 90847 and 46. 47 would be the client, maybe a child and parent in the room together talking through and providing more context for treatment and services being rendered. 4.6 would be the parent, the partner, the spouse who's not the primary client in this case. Now, if it is typically a couples therapy session and you bring in one individual outside of that couple's specific context to work through the case, you would need to use 90846 if that client is not the primary on the insurance plan. If you need to do individual therapy with that client, you'll need to use 90834, 37, um, and do an individual therapy session with that partner under their own insurance coverage. They might be covered under the same plan, but it is worth noting that there are these distinctions. Okay, I hope that's clear. Now, these sessions are fairly straightforward. They are time coded, but again, the key thing to make sure um, to do here is to know which code you're going to want to use. It is also worth noting, as I state here, that you aren't going to be billing both clients under this code. This code does encapsulate for 4.7 two people being in session together. You wouldn't bill 90847 and then an individual session 37 90834 to the other partner in the room if they're both in the room conducting therapy together. This is one way you can make sure to prevent fraudulent claim submission, is making sure not to make that coding mistake. Okay. These sessions do need to be 26 minutes in length or longer, up to, I believe, 74 minutes. And beyond that, you can use 99354 for extended therapy sessions. Feel free to check out our extended sessions billing guide over here on the sidebar, or go and Google extended sessions billing guide TheraThink to find that guide on when to use CPT codes for extended sessions. Okay, and 90846, again, just reiterating here, is going to be without the patient present, right? So you would want to conduct a 26-minute length or longer session with that client when they're not there and present. 90837 will be for, of course, 53 minutes or longer in length, and that will be for individual therapy. A little bit of information on this page about rates. You can see that Medicare is paying more and more for these sessions overall as the years go on. So and likewise with these add-on codes that I just mentioned for longer additional time, this also increase over time, excuse me. These are typically coded for 50 to 74 minutes in length. These sessions aren't technically coded for a maximum of time. They're coded more around the context of the sessions and services being rendered, meaning the clients being couples, the client not being present or being present in the couple or family therapy context. However, there are these sort of just general recommendations about timing. And again, for add-on codes, you can use these add-on codes 99354 and 55 to have add-on sessions. Again, just some examples here that I've already spoken through, but are worth noting here as well, written out for you folks. So session 1, a mother and 2 children are all in session together. Session 1, you're going to want to be billing 90847. The following week, the mother, client A, is seen about the client, right? The child in treatment, client B. You're going to want to use 4.6 because the primary in that session is not the client or patient who's being treated, but rather the family member or couple, spouse, partner who's providing more clinical context around that session. Let's say the next week, that actual client, the child, is then seen for an hour. You're going to want to use an individual therapy code 90837 in that case. And then maybe a week later, the mother comes back in seeking their own therapy, around that client as well. And you're going to likewise going to want to use, maybe they're struggling with their own issues surrounding parenting, specifically about that client. In that case, you're going to want to use 90837 again, but this time using client A's information for billing as opposed to client B, right? It's going to be a different name and birth date, even if the insurance policy might be the same, the address might be the same. So hopefully these have been some useful examples here to walk through. There are some other guidelines, just making sure that you're not using these in conjunction with EM billing being the primary one. A few other notes too worth noting is a common mistake for billing for these is going to be to use units to designate time instead of add-on CPT codes to designate time. And that's really it. That's the quick version of this billing guide. Again, this is going to be to explain to you the best that we can when to use these CPT codes and when not. Okay, so if you do have any questions about these sorts of codes, when to use them, when not to use them, feel free to reach out to us over at Therathink. Therathink.com/billing-service is a way to get professional help from us. But you can also reach out. Comment on our blog if you want, or comment on the comments in this video. Certainly happy to have you do that too. We do have a bunch of other guides for therapists, mental health professionals looking to understand a bit more about billing, including reimbursement rate information for psychiatrists and therapists, mental health CPT codes, as well as psychiatry specific codes, um, beginner's guides to mental health and telehealth billing. We also have some great tools, diagnosis and CPT code finders. If you want to just type in some English and find out what the right diagnosis or CPT code is to use, feel free to do that. We have an intake form. We have a cheat sheet that you can print out and have in your office, as well as a rate negotiation tool that enables you to click a few different things and generate a template for submitting over to each of those commercial insurance policies that you're looking to get a rate negotiation for. And that is actually templated and relevant to the current economic situation going on in 2022, including information about the consumer price index, inflation rates, because we want to make sure providers that we're working with and all you folks who are doing good work are getting the rates that you deserve. So feel free to reach out to us at therathink.com with any of the questions. And until then, appreciate you listening. Thanks.